On this week's conversation, we're talking about tofu. We're going to talk about the different variations of tofu and how to prepare them. I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy salad dressing. We're going to talk about marinades, and I'm going to show you how to make a really easy meal when you're in a bind anytime with tofu just for you. Ooh. So, don't go anywhere. My name is Scott. This is Learning Vegetarian. Let's get started. Hi everyone. On today's conversation, I want to spend some time talking about tofu. When I made the transition to a vegetarian diet, I actually found tofu to be the hardest part of that transition, only because I didn't know what to do with it. It wasn't something that I had already been using in my normal life, so I had to actually stop and relearn how to cook something all the way from scratch. Totally fun, totally great experience, but it took me a little bit and I want to save you some time. So today we're going to talk about the different firmnesses of tofu and what that actually means. We're going to talk about different ways to prepare it and how to actually set yourself up for success with tofu. I'm going to show you a couple different easy marinades that you can do anytime. I'm going to show you how to make a really quick and easy dinner. If you're ever in a bind and out of time, this tofu recipe is for you. So don't go anywhere. Let's get started and let's talk about tofu. So what is tofu? If you think about it, tofu to soy milk is the same thing as cheese is to dairy milk. When the curds separate from dairy milk, that becomes the cheese. And it's the same thing from soy milk. When those curds separate from the soy milk, you actually have tofu. It is believed that over 2,000 years ago, a Chinese cook accidentally separated the soy milk and the curd, creating tofu. Fun fact about tofu, they say the consistency of tofu is the same consistency as your brain matter. Think of that. The United States actually grows over half of the world's crop for soybeans. It would take 12,672 bricks of tofu lined end to end to reach 1 mile. Silken tofu is actually the most popular used tofu out there, but it comes in 5 varieties, all the way from extra soft to extra firm. Tofu is actually one of the healthiest foods for you. It is low in fat, high in nutritional elements, helps reduce heart disease. One of the biggest things I learned in tofu is just not to go to the grocery store and grab a brick of tofu and walk away, because you will end up with a silken tofu when you need an extra firm tofu. So let's talk about the different varieties of tofu, and they're actually on a spectrum, all the way from silken to extra firm. And if you think about it, think of it like a brick of Jello. Your basic soft Jello is going to be your silken or your extra soft or soft tofu. It's going to be a gelatinous, almost custardy feel to it, and if I pick this up, it's actually going to fall apart in my hand and probably break into a couple pieces. This tofu is really great for making salad dressings if you want to add it to any sort of liquid, and it blends up and it purees quite nicely to almost make a creamy substance. So you can use this for many different ways if you want to just add protein into your meal. You want a quick and easy way to blend protein into something. Whereas this guy is going to be on the other end of the spectrum, which is extra firm. This guy is great for cooking, for baking, all of those things where you want it to hold its shape. So if you want to cube these and you want to put it in a meal, that's great. We're going to fry some of these up later, and I'm going to show you on extra firm is actually the best for that because it holds its shape in the pan and we're able to put the breading around it and keep some really nice cubes. So I'm going to do a lot with these, but this is the two ends of the spectrum when we talk about tofu.
Remove all the excess moisture from the tofu by wrapping the tofu in a paper towel. Let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes to remove as much moisture as you can. Doing this for about 5 to 10 minutes before you start your meal is quite helpful, but if you can do it even more so ahead of time, it's even more helpful.
When creating a marinade, it's really important that you have the basic concept around it. First of all, you want to add oil because the oil helps retain the moisture as well as retain some of the flavor that you're going to put in your marinade. So whether it's a sesame oil or a basic vegetable oil, both of those will help retain the flavor within the tofu. The second piece you need to know is an acid. Whether it's soy sauce, lime juice, or balsamic, any of those can count as an acid that help break down and add a kick to your flavor. We add sugar in, or you can add maple syrup or brown sugar, whatever you desire. But adding that extra sweetness, make sure that you have a tang that kind of counteracts the vinegar or acid that you put into your marinade. Lastly, whatever flavors you want to add. So remember, you want your oil, you want your acid, and then you want your extra flavors.
For our first marinade, we'll make a balsamic marinade. We'll use 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 2 tablespoons of balsamic, 2 tablespoons of water, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. We'll add a pinch of salt and we'll stir it up. Throw in your tofu and marinate for an hour to 24 hours. This is your balsamic marinade. For our second marinade, we'll make a sweet Asian sauce. We'll use 2 tablespoons of sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. We'll do a tablespoon of sugar and a teaspoon of paprika. Blend it together, marinate your tofu for an hour to 24 hours, and enjoy. This is your sweet Asian marinade. For the next marinade, we'll make a lime cilantro marinade. 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1/3 cup of lime juice. We'll use about a teaspoon of minced garlic and about a cup of cilantro. It seems like a lot of cilantro, but trust me, it's worth it. Mix it all together. Marinate your tofu for an hour to 24 hours. Enjoy. This is your lime cilantro marinade. To make our tofu ranch dressing, we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of parsley in a food processor. We'll add 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of dill, 1 teaspoon dried onion, and 1 teaspoon of salt and some pinch of pepper. Tear up your softened or silken tofu and place in the food processor. Add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of water. Turn on your food processor and blend. Add 1 teaspoon of fresh chives and mix up your dressing. This is your tofu ranch dressing. To fry your tofu, make sure that you press your tofu with a paper towel and get all the moisture out as much as possible. Take your tofu and chop it into small cubes. Pour some cornstarch into a large bowl. One at a time, roll your cubes into the cornstarch and place on a plate. You can be impatient like me and do a couple at a time, but be aware it does make a mess. Let's take these over to the stove. In a nice skillet, make sure you heat up some vegetable oil to a medium-high heat. Once the oil is heated, place the cubes into the oil and fry for about 3 to 4 minutes. It's important that you don't touch the cubes for those 3 to 5 minutes because they'll fry and release from the bottom of the pan on their own. Rotate them around the pan and fry the other side. Once this is completed, place your completed cubes on a paper towel lined plate. For these guys, I'm going to take some sweet chili sauce and pour them over the top. and we'll call this some sweet chili tofu.
Today we have made a delicious salad dressing. I've showed you 3 different ways to marinate the tofu. We fried some up, we put some sweet chili sauce on it. This is so good, so good. I cannot wait. Take these recipes, make them your own. My name is Scott, this is Learning Vegetarian. Until next time.